All right, guys, November 5th general election is almost here, and in your House District 58A, you guys have a choice to make on who you want to represent you at the Capitol. Today, we're highlighting Kristi Pursell. Kristi is the current Democrat incumbent in 58A, and we've been getting a lot of phone calls about where she stands on Second Amendment issues, right? Is she pro-gun? Does she believe in the Constitution? Does she believe in public safety? Or is she voting for feel-good gun control laws that aren't going to save any lives? That's the question. So I'm going to break it down for you short and sweet about what Kristi has done in her time in office, and then you can decide what you think. So we're going to kick this right off. The first thing you should know about Kristi Pursell is that she voted for Red Flag Gun Confiscation laws. Now, this allows virtually anybody to have your firearms confiscated simply because they make a phone call saying that you are dangerous. Now, we obviously don't want firearms in the hands of dangerous people, but that's the great part about Minnesota law is that it already has on the books the ability to detain somebody for 72 hours if they're making dangerous threats, if we think they might be thinking about self-harm. If we think there's a problem, we have laws on the books that deal with that. Red flag gun confiscation laws don't help people who are in a tough place emotionally or making threats or doing something like that. It simply takes guns away. It's a gun confiscation law. Now, this bill was Senate File 2909. She voted for it in 2023. Now, along the same vein, she voted for universal gun registration via the background check system. Now, background checks have been proven over and over and over to not stop any crime. All of these shootings that we've seen across the country of people who are mentally unstable or are hopped up on SSRIs, they're either going through a background check successfully, and many of them are doing so, or they're just bypassing it altogether. There are not failed background checks that are stopping these killers from getting guns. It's happening anyway. These are feel-good laws that don't actually stop crime, but make it harder for people like you and me who are peaceful, law-abiding Minnesotans to exercise our Second Amendment freedoms. That was also wedged into Senate File 2909. And now just a few months ago, this year, Kristi Pursell voted for House File 4300. This is mandated gun lockups. So the left likes to scream, stay out of our home, stay out of our bedroom, right? But here they are saying Kristi Pursell gets to decide what safe you own, and then she gets to decide that all of your firearms have to be locked in that safe at all times unless you're taking them to go somewhere to use them, like to a shooting range or hunting, for example. So if you want a firearm, perhaps sitting on your desk. A lot of us work from home these days. If you want that there, if you're a single person, you want to have that sitting there just in case, you don't get to do that under Kristi Pursell's forced gun lockup law. If you're a bachelor who lives up in the Iron Range, miles from nowhere, and you want to have your gun where you want to have your gun, you don't get to do that under her law. But this law didn't get passed because Democrats in the Senate said this law is unenforceable, ridiculous, and we trust the voters in our district, we trust gun owners in our districts to be wise and make good choices with their firearms. So Kristi Pursell went way to the left and endorsed and voted yes on this forced gun lockup bill, but Democrats in the Senate had the sense to not pass it because it's unenforceable and won't save lives. But this is the actual voting record of Kristi Pursell. Now, if she goes back up there, the number one issue for the Metro City Democrats is banning rifles. They say we want to ban assault weapons, get these weapons of war off our streets. They're not weapons of war. They're banning hunting rifles. They're banning commonly owned firearms, hundreds of them, under the law that they're trying to pass. These are not These are not weapons of war. These are hunting rifles, sporting rifles, commonly owned AR-15 style and other rifles, hundreds of them. But that's what they want to ban. So if you're a hunter, if you're a sportsman, if you value the Second Amendment in any capacity, this would be very, very bad for law-abiding citizens because, again, criminals will not obey these laws. She supports the magazine ban. They want to ban standard capacity magazines and reduce us all down to nothing more than revolvers like the good old days. And by the good old days, I mean anybody who knows how to shoot a revolver versus a standard rack and slide pistol knows that revolvers are a lot harder to shoot and they're more dangerous to handle than a modern firearm. So if we go back to that, you're asking for more firearms injuries. And she supports ammo registration. It's another major, major issue that the left is pushing is that if you walk into a Walmart, you want to buy a box of 22 shells, you have to fill out a government form telling Keith Ellison that you bought this box of ammo. It's crazy. It's crazy. You think a single one of the criminals that are doing the damage in Minneapolis are going to register their ammo? But they want to do ammo registration, but Keith Ellison is calling for the full-blown ban of 5.56 .223 ammo, calling it a military round. It's preposterous. It's the most common rifle round in the entire country. It's nothing like what the military uses. It's just bizarre. So if they can't get it banned outright, they're going to register it. That's the plan. At the end of the day, Kristi Pursell is pandering to the far, far left of the Democrat Party, is an enemy of the Second Amendment. This is a constitutional right that is exercised responsibly by millions and millions of Americans every single day, by hundreds of thousands of Minnesotans every single day. And the laws that Kristi has supported and is pushing for is going to make our streets less safe. It's going to leave more guns in the hands of violent criminals who don't follow laws. It's going to make it harder for people like me and people like you to defend our loved ones, our family, our friends, our community, our neighbors. So that's why Kristi Pursell gets an F rating from Minnesota Gun Rights for her terrible, terrible record on Second Amendment issues. And I ask that when you go out to vote on November 5, or maybe you're doing early voting, I ask that you vote pro-gun, pro-constitution, vote for public safety. And the best public safety comes from law-abiding citizens like you and me protecting each other. And sometimes, God help us, that requires just having a firearm on your hip to make a criminal think twice about snatching that purse in that parking lot. It's the way it goes. So vote in favor of the Second Amendment. We'll have more information soon.